So, Riot Games just released their new fighting game to the wider audience just recently. Since I like and play fighting games regularly, I've been playing it, and in fact, I've been playing since the alpha and beta test also. With that said, I'm here to answer the question, is 2xKO worth playing? So, 2xKO is Riot's new 2-on-2 tag team fighting game. Think of similar games like Marvel vs Capcom, but instead it's just League of Legends champions. It's not fully out per se, but everyone is able to play it and it looks pretty polished, to be fair. The art style is flashy, the animations are smooth, and every character has a personality or some reason to like and play them. This is probably to be expected from a game made by Riot. Gameplay wise, each match is a tag battle, which I assume you know by now. You pick two champs, you're also able to swap between them mid-fight. Call them in as like assists and pull off combos essentially through swapping them. The game has a fuse system that lets champions you pick power each other up depending on the playstyle you choose. This essentially puts some emphasis on team composition. You can also choose one called Juggernaut, where you only use one character, however the character is empowered to make it worth sacrificing the second champion you can choose. I have a nitpick personally with the controls, where I think that maybe there should be at least like 2 less buttons. I look at if they did it more like Street Fighter, however I can see why they made the layout like this, considering the mechanics within the game are much easier than something like Street Fighter or Tekken. The netcode for the game is also amazing thanks to the rollback, and the game feels super responsive whether you're playing offline or online. Now, I'll be talking about what the game does well in my opinion. I feel like a free-to-play fighting game has been a dream for years. Not that there hasn't been any in the past, but I'm talking about to this scale. I feel like making a fighting game free to play gives people that don't play fighting games normally another incentive to try them, at least since they cost nothing. Following on from that, the game seems much simpler than most fighting games I play, at least in my opinion, meaning that the amount of non-fighting games player attained is probably going to be higher, since the learning the fighting game is much easier on 2xKO compared to games like Street Fighter and Tekken again. I feel like the characters have distinct differences. This is somewhat of an exception when coming to new fighting games though, but it's just nice to see that the game is going in the right way. For example, someone like Darius hits very hard, Yasuo has the flashier combos, and Ari, who I personally play, is a lot more about style and setups. The training mode is deeper than I thought it would be. There's a lot of things that more competitive players need, like hitbox views, frame data, combo recording, and a lot of other good stuff for labbing in a fighting game. Lastly, the rollback netcode, as I mentioned before, means your matches actually feel playable, even across regions. If you're into competitive fighters or you just like competitive games in general, I'd say it's a decent experience. Now, I'll be talking about where the game falls short. I'll preface this by saying that the game isn't fully out yet, so this is more like things they can do to improve the game and like kind of a criticism, rather than saying the game is just bad. First of all, I think heading to a full release of the game, the roster has to be larger, and to be fair, they've already said to the community that they're gonna go and make this happen. The exact, well, not exactly quote, but it's kind of taken from the Riot 2xKO website, basically says that they aim to release a new champion every season, coming with a battle pass and more. Season 0 will last through the end of 2025. From then on, they're aiming for 5 seasons of 10ish weeks a year, each bringing a new champion. So this problem is promised to be fixed, and essentially is being fixed. Second thing, there isn't much single player content. Now, I don't think that this is a problem for me, since I don't play fighting games for the single player content. However, if I were to look at it from a game development perspective and from how other popular fighting games are in the genre, there simply isn't enough things to do offline, especially considering the amount of lore that League of Legends has. The hard part would be putting it into the game, not making the story or lore for the characters, since that's already there for them to take. My third problem would be the balancing throughout the game, but balance changes run through most of games' lifetimes. Some combos hit for more than they should, and this is some contrast between the character's strengths. I'll keep playing Ari regardless of where she stands anyway. Lastly, while the menus look clean, they are a bit clunky and weird to navigate. 2xKO is looking very good considering this is an early access version of the game, and I'm sure it'll be a much better game when it fully releases, but that's basically all of the negative points. So now for the community. It has actually been super positive. Players are saying the game is fun to play, easy to pick up, but also has a high skill ceiling. Riot has also been very active with feedback and patches, so it's clear that they plan to keep updating it for the long run. If they add more characters, polish some balance, and build out the single player or tournament modes, it could easily rise up in the ranks of current fighting games. For my honest take, if you like fighting games, or even if you've never played one but love League, the game is definitely worth trying. It's free, it's fun, and it already feels like it has potential. Just remember that the game is still in early access, so you may find some bugs, run into some characters that are too strong, or maybe there just aren't any characters for you yet. So finally, to answer the question, yes, 2xKO is worth your time. It's not perfect, but it's off to a strong start if you've already played. And if you haven't played, that's fine too. If you have played, however, tell me how it is. That'll be everything from me. Thanks for watching.